So the watch in front of us is a Citizen EcoDrive Skyhawk, which is also a radio controlled watch. As you can see, it's in need of a little bit of help. It has a lot of wear and tear all over, especially around the bezel, and as you can see, it has had some heavy impact on the glass, which has caused the glass to crack. The watch is also currently not functioning and there is an error message on the LCD display. I will have to investigate further to see what this error message is. But from previous experience, when a glass like this smashes, small bits of glass and debris and glass dust will enter into the movement through the small apertures. And these bits of glass and fine glass dust and particles can often enter into the running gear and moving parts and cause the watch to stop functioning. So I'm afraid a simple glass replacement will not fix the issue on this watch. There is also a lot of damage around the bezel, so we will have to address this issue as well. And while we're at it, we'll also restore the case and bracelet. So let's dismantle this watch and see if we can bring it back to life. And thank you guys for joining me on this journey. So I will start off by removing the bracelet from the case. The small hole indicated by an arrow, this is how you remove the stem. And now we can remove the movement. And now we can clearly see the error message on the right hand side LCD display. There are quite a lot of hands all over the dial, so we will have to remove them all in order to take the dial off and investigate further underneath. Now we can also see the extent of the damage on the case and the glass. So we'll start off by knocking out the old glass using a plastic die and a small hammer. I will try and get some measurements of whatever is left of the glass so that I can order a new one. I can get the thickness of the old glass, which is about 3 mm thick, and the diameter is about 33.8. So now that we've removed the crystal, we can clearly see the extent of the damage to the bezel. I'm just peeling off the inner bezel, and as you can see, it has completely cracked. This is probably where the full brunt of the impact took place. So this part will have to be replaced, and usually I would be able to order this from Citizen, but due to the worldwide lockdown, I will have a look in my box of old Citizen parts to see if I can find a replacement. Now there is a chapter track or bezel which is inside of the case, which has to be removed, and in order to do that I will have to remove the bezel and the glass gasket. There is a bezel retaining spring which I'll remove so I can give it a good clean. The main bezel seems to be in relatively good condition, and as you can see here, where the main impact took place, it has also damaged the glass gasket, so that will also have to be replaced. Now we can remove the inner chapter ring. And finally, we can remove the top part of the case. And as you can see, the impact has also caused some serious damage to this section. So we can try and repair this or find a replacement. This needs to be addressed in order for the glass gasket to sit right. And so I will briefly show you the polishing part of this restoration. And since the glass section usually takes a lot of beating and picks up a lot of scratches and marks, I will show you this section and then you can follow the same principle over the rest of the bracelet. I will also just gently buff the case back and also do the case. So as you can see on the clasp, there are some deep scratches. So in order to take those out, I usually like to use the felt wheel first. Just a few more deep scratches here, so we just keep going. So from the felt wheel, I usually bring it onto this dirty polishing mop just to mop up the old polishing compound. And this enables me to inspect the clasp to see if there are any further scratches each time I take it off the felt wheel. And I have this dirty mop set up on a separate Polymax machine. This enables me to avoid any cross-contamination with my final polishing mop. And this is my final polishing mop. Now I'd always put this in an ultrasonic machine and get all the cutting compound off before I put it onto this final polish, otherwise you'll get cross contamination of the two different polishes, because I use a finer polish on this one, the green one. And this is a Bufflex wheel which will give us the straight grain brush finish that we need on this clasp and bracelet. And as you can see, I have the camera in one hand, so I'm trying to do the job with just the other hand. But it's just for educational purposes, just so I can show you guys. And so now I'll follow a similar procedure as the clasp with the rest of the bracelet and the case. And I won't film the rest of this as it's very tedious, and I also need both of my hands for this. And once it's finished, I will just show you the end product. So here I have laid out all our parts. The case and the bracelet have been polished. I have also managed to source all the parts that we require, including a new crystal and the bezel parts. This is the inner bezel part that was split. And after polishing the case and bracelet, these are the results. Now you have to be very careful when polishing the case back, as there are serial numbers and the logo which are just laser etched. So all you need is a gentle buff. Anything more than that and you will completely rub all this off. And this is the section that had the big gash in it. I've managed to find a replacement. And we also have some fresh plastic gaskets. Now this is the new crystal, and as you may remember, the old crystal had a slight dome at the top. However, due to the pandemic and closures of non-essential businesses, I have not been able to order the same part. And this crystal is flat top and bottom, but it is the correct size and it should be fine. And now we will move on to the movement, and as you can see on closer inspection, there are bits of broken glass everywhere. So I installed the stem to try and align the hands for easy removal, but this is electrically operated and so I have been unable to align the hands correctly. There is glass dust everywhere, as you can see. There is a plastic ring with 4 clips that hold in the solar panel. There are a couple of connecting springs that allow the solar energy to charge the capacitor. I will remove these as I will be using a powerful compressor to remove as much of the fine debris as possible. First I will use a bit of Rodico to remove all the glass dust from the surface. And after each wipe I will roll the Rodico over, because whatever broken glass I pick up with the first few swipes will end up scratching up the rest of the movement. And now I'm using an air compressor to remove anything else that I've missed. I've kept some of the background audio here, and you can probably hear my son, the little watchmaker's apprentice. He's always in my workshop fiddling around with stuff. And due to all the schools being closed, at least you can learn something. And the main reason I've kept some of the background audio here is because he's watching Mr. Men on his laptop. And who doesn't remember the Mr. Men books? So I'm putting the two connecting springs back in. I need to grab the movement with my fingers now, so I'll have to put these cuts on. Even though I'm the Nekkid watchmaker and I like my fingers to be naked.
And he saw that then he saw that what had fallen on him was only a leaf. Nothing but a leaf.
I've also wiped the dial and all the hands using Radico.
It was one of those beautiful summer mornings that everybody likes to see. He forgot to go bathroom, into the wardrobe, or up to post. So off he set. And did he remember to shut the door and forget-me-not cottage behind him? Of course he did. Could he remember what it was that he was supposed to remember not to forget to shop for?
So as you can see, the error message is still there. And wise old wisdom tells us to turn off the plug and to turn it back on again. So here I'm just going to remove the capacitor and put it back in to see what happens.
Mr. Funny in his funny cowl, the funniest thing you'd ever seen. The pig thought Mr. Funny in his funny cowl, the funniest thing you'd ever seen. He nearly laughed her tail off. But Mr. Funny was the funniest thing that they'd ever seen. He didn't know which way to go, so he looked at the sign. It was closed. I'm sorry, said the zookeeper. Would we have closed? Check him up, he said. Well, said the zookeeper. Worth the try, I suppose. And he opened the gate. Mr. Funny drove.
And hey presto, everything seems to be working.
First thing he saw was an elephant. It was true. The elephant was feeling very sorry for herself. Very sorry. Mr. Funny, oh, funnier, funnier. But then Papa did it out his butt. Oh, Mr. Funny, oh, thank you very, very much indeed, sir.
Oh. Have you forgotten? I'm just going to temporarily put the movement back in the case so I can mark the 12 o'clock position so that all the chapter rings and bezels align correctly. I'm just applying some slow setting adhesive all the way around the plastic bezel insert. You can also use sticky pads. This type of adhesive I'm using will cure in about 2 to 3 hours, but I usually allow about 24 hours. And there you have it, folks. Our Skyhawk lives once again. I hope I've done this watch justice. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but during these testing times, we make do with what we have. If you have enjoyed this video and you have found it useful, then please consider subscribing. It's absolutely free and it also helps to support this channel. So to all you watch lovers out there, until next time, stay safe, keep playing with your watches and have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.